This video is going to be a little tiny glimpse of a trip down memory lane, so to speak. Okay, I began my art endeavor in New York City, and what happened was I was checking out the galleries and the museums, and I came across some artwork that it was very interesting, but it was very enlightening, and I knew I could do things like that, which is how a lot of people do get started. Okay, you see big pieces of what I was doing with little markers on paper, and the answer was do that. So what I'm going to do in this video is just introduce you to some of the things I learned. I'll try to keep it as tight as I can. Okay, this is about the very first thing that you learn when you go into New York City from Long Island with art. Well, first of all, the people who make and sell artwork, I'm talking about on a street level, okay? You learn a lot because there are a lot of people there who will tell you things, and customers will tell you things directly. Okay, you're not going to get that going in and out of galleries. They'll tell you nothing. Okay, but what transpires, the very first thing you learn is about the logistics of getting in there, a vehicle, and parking. You have to know your parking rules, or you'll just walk out of there with 2 or 3 summonses for $120 a piece, and that's not nice. If you get through your first couple of tries, which is the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, you can park on main roads like West Broadway Avenue, and you're okay there without summonses, at least at the time. Okay, and that's where customers walk around. You don't want to be parked on a side street or a back road and have to carry your work. So that's when you go. But you first thing you find out is on your way in, don't try to park in your mind and get nervous and agitated and excited, because you could be coming down a main road like 2nd Avenue to get all the way down into the heart of the lower section of Manhattan, and all of a sudden it becomes redirected traffic one way the other way. There's some kind of an art fair or an Italian festival or something. So you have to go as you go. Get in as early as you can so you can find parking on the side of the main road that you want to be at, and just play it by ear. Okay. The first thing you also learn is that the people who are selling artwork, making artwork, showing artwork are not what you thought. You thought they were all going to be 23 years old with green hair. Okay, there are a lot of retired school teachers, 40-year-old people who there are quite a few who are like busboys at work, and then during certain hours on the weekend they're able to be in there with their artwork. They spend all week on it, and that's the people that you're going to meet. There are also a lot of very streety people. Okay, they have integrity, but they can't really be relied upon as far as advice or on people, on art, on anything really. They're very flighty, a lot of them, because you're in the street. Now, a good day is when you go in there and you don't get a summons. And if you show art and you talk about art with people and you learn some things, you also walk in and out of some local galleries. But you're not going to initially flood the market and sell a lot of artwork. If you sell a few pieces, that's great. Okay, I've seen people, I saw a guy come in there with a pickup truck, and he had huge pieces of sculpture made out of granite and stuff, and he wanted $5,000 to $10,000 a piece. And his concern was, what do I do when I have 2 and 3 customers? How am I going to leave the work here on the highway on the side of the road? He was actually at Union Square Park while I'm making deliveries. I said, friend, you get one buyer for $5,000. You put everything back in the truck and take it there and deliver it and get your money. It's not going to happen, and of course it didn't happen. 2 weeks later he was gone. Okay, people don't just walk up and pay thousands of dollars to somebody standing in a street for something they made, regardless of what people tell you. Okay, now First of all, I do want to say this. I went on this effort around 2007. I really heavily examined the galleries, and by 2009, I had line marker drawings. As you can see, this has a version of a line marker to it, but it's a real worked piece. Okay, initially it was line marker on foam board, and now the artists talk. First of all, they all call their artwork my work. I do work 3 times a week. I make work. That's what they say. They make work. They don't talk about making art. They talk about making work. That's the experienced people. Okay. They give advice, and it's always bad advice. If you ask any artist, what do you think I ought to do right here on this part, they'll start explaining to you how to make their artwork. Okay. And then it goes from opinion to advice to like a controlling. They basically want you to get in your vehicle, go back home and create exactly what they said and come back and show it. And if you don't do that immediately, they're offended. It's ridiculous. Okay. You do learn tricks and things. One guy does very nice paintings of kind of like a sunset or a sunrise, and he explained to me how you go and you buy pigment. He puts yellow pigment that's $80 for a little container into his paint for certain spots, and you wonder, you look at it and you say, how does this get to be so bright? Well, that's how he does it. Okay. They will also direct you how to set up your art, how to pose it, and they're trying to get you to make your display limited so that there's no problems in the street with government, the people who give out summonses. They want to keep those people back, and B, they want their work to be shown. One man actually goes and takes his pieces, big canvases, and puts them behind other people's work on the street. And I just picked it up and threw it in the street. I mean, a guy like that, there's no talking to him, okay? And then he didn't do that anymore. And you do have to be a little careful. These are streety people. And, I'm from Long Island. They're there. You got to realize, when people are living in a place 24 hours, 7 days, 365 days a year, it's not quite the same as just blew into town for the weekend, or for a Saturday or Sunday. You make friends. I have some friends now that I still communicate with from those days, and you learn certain things. You have to go into a direction with your art, and you show your work. It's successful if you're showing it to people, and it becomes, in a sense, like ingrained. They look for it. They know. Like, there was one guy who does a really nice work. It's like glamour faces of women, and it looks really like from the 80s, but they're big. Now that's the very first thing I learned. I told you I started with the marker pieces, just quick sudden marker, and it's my own thing. My plan was to just set up an easel and do, which really takes a nerve and a lot of experience. But so I didn't wind up actually doing that yet, okay? But the point is, this man makes these glamour pieces, and people look for them. But that's what I was saying. The first thing that I learned was with modern art type things, like this marker, you have to make it big. And you make it big so people can see it from down the street. I'm going to show you a little bit of how this evolved into this stuff, okay? A man explained to me, and he had pictures and photographs. I asked him. I would ask people, questions. And the guy says, well, modern art, you want it big enough so they see it from way down the street, because there's a lot going on the street and a lot of noise. And the closer they get, the more vivid they see it. And I did that. And it did work, okay? Sometimes I did sell. I would start to call going in there, showing my art rather than selling my art. because it's not realistic that you're going to sell all the time. So from there, okay, making big pieces, I went to making some pieces, just cutting them out of wood, the same marker work, and freestanding. They had feet on them, and I would set them up like down the street so that people would see that, and then as they keep coming, and now they see my work here, they've already been introduced. And that was good, except that some kids on bicycles would grab them, and they didn't take them far, but you don't know which left turn they made. And I'd have to go around with the van later and pick them up. And then there was an incident where a woman was basically stealing the piece, and her friend made her give it back. But, you know, it's, you have to go with the attitude that if I do lose pieces, that's the deal. If I do get a summons for parking, or, you know, it doesn't go on your record, that's the deal. There's a cost to be in the city. There's a cost to be exposing in that vein. And those people who never get hit with any of these problems aren't really out there showing anything, aren't really out there doing anything. Now what happened was, I was putting these white pieces, I would paint them white with the shape in there, and I'd put them out, and I went to a gallery, and I said, hey, you know, I have these pieces, people really like them. They really do love them. I put "Please Touch Me" on there, and 3 or 4 people at a time will be handling them. Well, 2 things happened. One is a man there who's very experienced said, make them all the same, white, build it up with a little plaster, 3-dimensional, on a black board back, and it's all that, and people will know it's your work. And that really did work, okay? I had one day where I sold 6 pieces in one day at Union Square Park. And what happened was, one woman bought 2. I had to deliver it to her apartment, and when I got there, she bought another one. That's what happens when you make deliveries. You have your work on the van, and they'll take another one, or maybe more. Well, anyway, I went to the gallery and I said, this works. These are great. People are interested. They said, right now, you know, it's heading into the summer. There's nobody out here. They're all in the Hamptons. I was like, what? So I took a ride out to the Hamptons, and my God, the traffic, it looked like there was so much traffic that the whole place was going to fall into the ocean. So I made some pieces. I actually took some that I already had, and I stuck them in the ground out there and left them there. I got a whole Memorial Day weekend out of them before they disappeared. And then I'd find them in the woods and whatnot. So anyway, I went back to the city showing my work, because that's, at this stage I was used to it. You really do get used to it. I've been doing it for a few years at that point. And, but only on the weekends. I was doing other things during the week. Well, cars would stop. Hey, can I have a picture? Can I take a picture with this? I saw these out east. And then I realized the same people, tourists from Long Island and New Jersey and the whole area, are doing both Long Island, out east, the Hamptons, and Manhattan. So I really went crazy putting them out east. I made small ones and started putting them on telephone poles, and real marker looking outlines like this, okay? And from there I got in the newspapers. I made 6 dozen and put them out, and that's how I learned. I got my direction as to what to create. So that's the story, the preliminary story.